So after making that Splinter Cell video last week, which was a bit of a follow-up to the Splinter Cell video I made roughly a year ago, I thought it was only right that I made a Halo Infinite video, which is a follow-up to the video that actually launched this channel. Back in October of last year, I made a video that basically said that Halo Infinite needed to be a hit. Not that Xbox was struggling. I mean, they weren't winning the console race, I guess, but things took a bit of a dip during the Xbox One era, and I won't go into the full extent of that video because, you know, it's still up. The general gist of the video was me saying that I was a huge Halo fan and Halo's taken a bit of a dip and Xbox has taken a bit of a dip, and I hope both of them can recover. Halo Infinite has been out for just over a year now, and I don't think it's escaped anybody's attention that the release of this game has been troubled. Now, I'm not really talking about the campaign, I'm more focusing on the multiplayer side or the live service side that they've tried to push. The campaign I had a great time with, I enjoyed some of the story beats, I enjoyed some of the new additions they made to the gameplay. In general, I thought it was a fun time and it left me excited to see where things go next, so about as much as you can ask from a campaign. So if you're unaware, Halo Infinite's multiplayer launched somewhat unfinished. Now, I should clarify, when I say unfinished, I don't mean it was buggy or broken or anything like that. It worked completely fine. Gameplay, fantastic. Probably one of the best Halo games to play in terms of multiplayer. By unfinished, I mean that modes that had become staples of the Halo franchise, modes that were always there in day one, or features that were always there from day one, just weren't there at launch. So I suppose a perfect example is stuff like Forge. Forge has kind of been a thing since Halo 3, and obviously it launched on day one with Halo 3, and I know game design and game development has changed quite a lot since 2007. There's a lot more things that kind of go into it. But Forge has become quite a big part of the Halo community because it allows the community to have their own input and create their own maps, create their own modes, create basically whatever they want to, and sort of share that with the rest of the community, and it almost creates this snowball effect that draws in more attention, draws in more engagement from, you know, the kind of the wacky stuff that comes out of that. So multiplayer launches without this stuff, and it has some of the usual modes in terms of Slayer and Oddball and Big Team Battle, all of those things. And it's a fun time, and everybody's enjoying it with this tinge of, yeah, it's good, but I kind of wish it had this, and oh, when this is missing, that's not great, and when this is missing, that's not great. Really, as I said earlier, I summed it up perfectly. It felt a bit unfinished. It was like a car that felt great to drive that didn't have any doors. That's probably a really bad analogy, but I hope you understand what I mean in that it drew people in. It got a lot of attention because it mainly, you know, because it's a Halo game. Initially at launch, I felt like the buzz around the game was positive, and then the more people started to play it and realise sort of how stripped down the situation was, that positive energy started to die a little. And it could not have been released at a better time. When you think back in terms of shooters, when you think back to this time last year, Battlefield 2042 just launched and that was a broken mess. Call of Duty Vanguard had also just launched, and while it worked fine, people weren't really into the idea of another World War II Call of Duty. It could not have had a better opportunity to sort of swoop in and capture all of these first-person shooter fans that either refused to play Battlefield because it was broken or were a little tired of Call of Duty at the time, and just capture them all in this, you know, new game. And when I say new game, like it's not a brand new IP, it's Halo. The opportunity you had there to kind of swoop in and say, hey guys, Halo is back. And we know you're not happy with the other shooters that are on offer this year. Why not come over here and see what we've got going on? And everybody did. Everybody jumped over and they tried it out. And then the challenge sort of system, the lack of an XP system basically, and the lack of variety in modes. There was all these little things that just kind of, they weren't huge, but they were big enough to just slowly kill people's enthusiasm. mine included. Don't get me wrong, I love the game. I still play it on a fairly regular basis today, but my tolerance for Halo is higher than most. As a fanboy, it is very hard for me to not feel like this was such a missed opportunity. So we had the initial launch in November of 2021. Then we had a 6-month wait until the Season 2 content was dropping, which was, at the time we didn't even know what it was going to be. We just assumed new maps, new cosmetics, and it was all that, but not as much as you would think it was. And then there was these weird narrative events that weren't really narrative events. They were just kind of, we added a cutscene here, but nothing really happens. It was as basic as a live service game could be. And then we were in the run-up to Season 3, which was supposed to drop in November of this year. And then that got pushed back to March of next year. And as a sort of make good, they released the winter update, which was almost like a Season 2.5. And the winter update is kind of cool. I mean, it adds Forge finally a year later. It adds co-op for campaign, although only co-op across Xbox Live, not, on the same system. There's no couch co-op. It adds a new XP system. And we're a year in and we're now only talking about this game feeling like it's where it should have been a year ago. Now, I don't know what's going on internally at 343 Industries. I know I've heard a load of things in general. Globally, the job market is kind of on its arse because COVID and a bunch of other factors. I'm getting the impression that 343 are understaffed and they don't have enough people to work on all of the projects they want to work on. So they have to decide what they keep and what they cut and what they push back and what they, that whole, they're having to, the fact that Microsoft's or Xbox's biggest IP, or the developers behind their biggest IP, the thing that launched their whole brand, the fact that they're having to make tough decisions about whether they keep or delay features that were previously key or core to the experience of Halo is not a good sign. I have no doubt that everybody within that development team is working as hard as they can to get Halo Infinite to the best place it can be, but I can't help but feel like the train has already left on this one. The winter update is cool. All of the stuff that I'm seeing coming out of the Forge community is awesome, but I think it is too late now. Again, Season 3 will drop in March. I'm playing the winter update right now. You're watching terrible footage of me not doing so well in the multiplayer. And when Season 3 drops in March, I'll be there on day one to check it out and get stuck into all of that content, and I'm excited to see what comes along. But that's because I'm a hyper fan of this franchise. The people who were on the fence, the people who were sort of in between games or deciding what their next big shooter was going to be, I feel like they're gone now. And this could be just my echo chamber that I've created for myself on YouTube and Twitter and all of that stuff, but Modern Warfare 2 has come along and taken everybody's lunch money. Obviously we're still fairly recent after launch, but Modern Warfare 2 has come along and completely taken over. It's all I'm seeing people talk about in terms of online shooters. And the chatter around Modern Warfare 2 is that they're not actually going to release a proper new Call of Duty next year. They're just going to release a massive update with a campaign update and new multiplayer stuff for Modern Warfare 2. So we're essentially going to get 2 years of Modern Warfare 2 content, which is, from what I'm hearing, the most popular Call of Duty of all time so far. Even though Halo has a rumoured Battle Royale mode of its own in the works, they're going to have to knock it out of the park in a way that nobody has ever seen before to generate the interest that they want to probably make that worth it. Battlefield is slowly, getting back on its feet again. I'm seeing updates that have, it's a year on, updates have come out for that. It's not broken anymore. I think they've released a new season recently, and the first-person shooter landscape is not so barren as it was a year ago, when Infinite had that opportunity to come through and steal all the attention, and there was not really any distractions. So it had that golden opportunity, and it kind of squandered it. So here's the thing. This is me not making a video saying that I want Halo to be the most popular shooter in the world again. I kind of don't care how popular it is. I still enjoy it. Obviously, I still want to be fairly popular because I want enough players on the servers to, create sort of like a balanced landscape in terms of experience. I don't care if Halo is the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th most popular first-person shooter out there. Here's what I do care about, though. As someone as someone whose two favourite franchises of all time are Halo and Metal Gear Solid, and we know what has happened to that other one, I want to see Halo succeed from the point of view of, I doubt, but I know in business you can't really rule anything out, so I do doubt this, but I really hope we never reach a point where Xbox says, well, Halo used to be the big thing, but it's not quite the big thing anymore, so maybe we're not going to put as much money into this one. Maybe we're not going to make as much content for it. Maybe we're not going to put out Halo again anytime soon because of the effort it requires, especially with, you know, if this Activision deal goes through and maybe they pivot in some way to having Call of Duty as their like main shooter now. You know, they've got a lot of options in terms of first-person action in general with the Bethesda and Activision acquisition if they go through. And at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff always comes down to cash. And if Halo's popularity doesn't skyrocket again and it doesn't bring in the kind of cash that they want, do they start asking questions? Do they start making decisions? Do they start getting more reserved and pulling back and saying, not so sure about this franchise anymore? I hope not. I hope that's a really crazy thing to say, but I also think like crazier things have happened. And I suppose I don't really have like a major point with this video. Not like any of my other videos have a point, but I just think it's a shame because this is the third Halo game in a row now that's not universally loved. And the original idea behind Halo Infinite was that Halo Infinite was going to be the next 10 years of Halo. And looking how the last year has gone, part of me thinks there is no way they're going to continue. In fact, I've already heard rumours of them switching to a new engine, starting on new Halo projects that probably won't see the light of day until 2025 and stuff like that. And we're kind of back to square one. I don't see any of these seasonal updates really bringing this game back to the front of the line and having it compete with the Call of Duties and the Fortnites and the Overwatches and all that sort of stuff. I think people like myself will continue to enjoy it. I think all of the long-term fans will still have a great time with it. I think the Forge community will put out some awesome stuff, and I think the developers at 343 will continue to improve this game as much as they possibly can and make it the best experience possible. But we'll see what happens. Season 3 will come along in March. As I said, I'll jump back into that. Whatever this Battle Royale thing is that they're working on, I'll check it out. Whatever Halo related content is coming our way, I'm there day one with bells on. But I don't think everybody else is coming with me. Apologies to those of you who don't care at all about Halo as much as I do. But we're going to wrap it up there. I've been Inept Saiyan, you have been a wonderful audience, and I hope to catch you next time.